Thank you very much, and let me express my appreciation for all of the witnesses. My question is pretty basic. I was around during the rising storm. We're in the midst of the storm, and I'm not sure how much change we've made, though we try. But the most recent research that I've read about students getting into college and then changing from the STEM interest concerns me greatly. It concerns me because the students who seem to leave those fields more frequently are the women and minorities, the growing population. What storm do we need to get gathering here to see if we can change the course of this? Because I really sincerely feel this is the future of our nation in competitiveness. Anybody who wants to try?
Well, since I do educate a few of them, as I said, I think we're finding that the first 2 years seem to be very seminal in terms of how students are educated, how they're nurtured. You know, at Rensselaer, we actually have a multi-generational approach for women in engineering, where we have faculty who mentor postdocs, who mentor graduate students, who mentor undergraduates. And what we find is that once the women, and this is women across all ethnic groups, by the way, opt truly into science or engineering, they actually graduate at higher rates than the men. So I think there are subtleties to how this all works. There remains a problem with respect to underrepresented minority males, but it is actually embedded in an issue that has to do with the fact that young men overall are not graduating at the same rates. So we're undertaking a special task force at the university to look at this question about how do we create more stickiness for students in the first 2 years and looking at our teaching methodologies, while at the same time undertaking a particular study about male students and what is happening with them. And we do think there are lots of issues having to do with cognition and learning, how we structure courses. And in fact, you know, I'm a member of PCAST, and we in fact issued a report discussing some of these things.
I would only like to add to that we need to move our perspective back, not to make an excuse, but we need to move it back to the K-12 system and build a good continuum from K-12 through the kinds of things that RPI and MIT and so many other schools are now trying to do. And I would add to the very, in my view, correct list that Dr. Jackson gave earlier. I want to emphasize one of her points and add one thing to it. I really believe that exposing kids from inner city to countryside to suburbs to science and math teachers who've actually graduated in the field they teach. We can do this. This is the primary #1 recommendation of the Gathering Storm report, and very little happened to it. So the idea is very simple. We need to deploy a set of scholarships to attract young men and women to go to college, to major in computer science or electrical engineering or physics or chemistry, and at the same time be certifiable as K-12 teachers. Secondly, and I hope I'm not getting a little too much to the political side, I'm a big believer that we need to adopt voluntary standards across our states in STEM fields, just as we have in mathematics and in English. And these standards need to emphasize learning science by doing it, project-based, bringing the excitement, the sense of discovery. This is what is going to attract more kids. Just look at things like the maker movement. It attracts kids from all over the socioeconomic spectrum. Look at Dean Kamen's first project that's in every inner city in the country as well as the wealthy suburbs. This is the way kids today get excited. They get excited by doing. And I think if we could sort of focus on those two things, we could get more people in a more dedicated way into the pipeline. And then if we can top that off by improving the way we teach in universities, somewhat along similar directions, maybe we can get there. But this, to me, this division between where kids come from and what their chances are to succeed, it's not America. We really have to get at this.